Okay, everybody, so this is my spoiler review of the newest Batman film, The Batman. Now, disclaimer, I am not a person who's restored the Snyderverse. I'm not this big Zack Snyder fan. I'm not also someone who's holding it to the heights of a Dark Knight, let's say, with Christopher Nolan. But I look at every film I review just with a clear slate in mind, no bias going in, and I had a lot of mixed feelings about this film. So, what's tricky is you see it comes out to a really high Rotten Tomatoes score. That really hypes it up for everybody. And then you get your expectations really high. So, then what I said to myself was like, okay, lower expectations. Just go into this watching it as a movie. And what I did to prepare was I watched all of Matt Reeves' filmography before this, everything he's directed before this film. And he still falls into a lot of traps that frustrate me about him as a director, and that happens in this film too, where if you've seen the recent film he did, The War of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, he plods along. I feel like he doesn't have a good sense of pace. I feel like he's another director gets too in his own head where he probably loves every scene so much, which is great. Of course, that's what you want to do when you're filming, right? But where is the feeling of this is slowing down too much or this needs to pick up? I don't feel that he had that in mind making this film, which was frustrating because let's compare it to the biggest tentpole film that also came out recently, which is Spider-Man No Way Home, right? Both very similar run times. And the key difference here was with Spider-Man No Way Home, I'm literally engaged from the start and it didn't let go of me that whole time. And it felt like an hour film watching it. And I felt so many emotions from it. None of that happened here, and I was expecting that. I was expecting to be on the edge of my seat, engaged, especially if it's such a long runtime. You have to justify it. It's got to be even more bringing you in and aware of its pacing, and that's where the editing falters for me too, that there needed to be some stuff cut out here. You look at Spider-Man No Way Home, I hate to keep comparing it to it, but I am because it's another big superhero tentpole movie that's a long runtime, and that film had, from the audience I was in, about 10 moments where people clapped. This film had about 2, and that happened when Batman jumped off the building and flew with the Batsuit, and when we first see the Batmobile. Those were the moments, but that was it for my audience at least, and that was a packed house, so that was disappointing as well. But I didn't not like the film. I think it's a very good film, but it's not great. It feels like it's holding back. It feels reserved, and it never really takes off. So let's talk about the villain here, the main villain in The Riddler. Now, Paul Dano is one of my favorite actors. My favorite performance by him was There Will Be Blood, so I knew he'd kill it as a Riddler. He always brings it, and he did not disappoint here. He was amazing. I thought he was the best performance of the film, clearly, and it was the most dynamic performance. However, I'm frustrated with what they did with the Riddler because when we compare it now to the most popular portrayal of a villain in the Batman films with Heath Ledger's Joker, it's like it took from The Dark Knight the scenes where the Joker would threaten Batman through the video calls, right? And we never got that really escalated to more with the Riddler until later on. Yeah, he gets captured and he has his moments with Batman there, but it should have been more way earlier where you saw with The Dark Knight, they had a couple video messages from the Joker, and then he shows up at the dining room and we have this big moment where they're face to face, where with the Riddler here, I felt like it was like all Zoom calls here. Why was it so many of them? And I know it's hard to pull that off because he's got to do the riddles. It's the chase, right? But he didn't have his epic moment in person, which was frustrating to me. And I think you need that for a film like this, especially with it this long. You're kind of waiting, can we see him now? How many of these are just going to be video calls? This is did they just film all his scenes in one day with an iPhone? That really was disappointing too. And that goes to my other complaint about this film is, where are the memorable moments here? Where are those scenes that are going to stick with me and that I'll think about forever? I don't think there was one for me. The only scene that I thought was amazing in this film was the car chase with Penguin. And I'm not even a big car chase type of scene fan. Right? That's usually my least favorite type of scene, but I thought it was amazing how it was shot. And I love the last shot, obviously, where it's from the Penguin's perspective and we're seeing Batman walk towards him. But that's another complaint I had about the film, was this was a movie that the 2 trailers, somehow it spoiled so much, even for a long movie. And why is I think the stuff they picked for the trailers was the best stuff from the film, But it's more important that the stuff they picked from the trailers was huge story beats that took away suspense. Like, when he goes to the funeral and a car is going to come through there from the Riddler because we see it in the trailers. Same thing. The best shot of the film was in the trailers with the Penguin seeing him upside down. There's many moments like that, again, that were just ruined by the trailer. And then people all hyped up the first 20 minutes of the film. It felt like that was the whole trailer. And the same song they use in the trailer, they use in the movie twice, where that's where it gets gimmicky. And it's like, how many times do we have to hear the same Nirvana song? I just don't like that. And you know what? It all felt mushed together because of this, that there wasn't those big set pieces. Now, yes, DC, Detective Comics, it really was Batman the Detective, but I think I got obsessed with that, right? And that we didn't get enough of maybe just Bruce Wayne or having more big action moments. And I didn't even think the action was that amazing. And you know what? Again, another scene we saw in the trailer, and it's literally just as long as when he does that effect where it's really awesome, where Batman's fighting those guys. I'm pretty sure it was in the orphanage, and all the lights go out and you see all the gunfire. But Matt Reeves, he's just repeating a beat he did in War of the Planet of the Apes. Exactly the same scene.
Actually, you'd replace us.
It's framed the same lighting. It's like, come on. Like, that's so soon for that for me. And it's just like, this is the Batman you're doing. There should be more clever action scenes for this. Now, I liked Robert Pattinson as Batman. I liked that he was a broken Batman. And you know what? I really liked the narration he was doing. And the way it set up that was the beginning of the movie, I thought we were going to get that the whole movie, and I actually would have liked that. I think that would have really worked. I was in for that. That felt different and unique for Batman and got into us in his broken mindset. And then we don't go back to that till the end. So it felt disconnected there with being in the mindset of Bruce Wayne. And I do think it worked well, and good writing is having your villain and your protagonist totally lined up here, and that they connect on many levels, and that the Batman is seeing things the Riddler's doing and not necessarily disagreeing with his, beliefs in these things. It's just how he's going about it, the Riddler. So they did a good job with that. And I just think that we look at the performances, though, of, let's say, Zoe Kravitz, who I'm also a big fan of from Big Little Lies, especially. But her playing Catwoman, I don't know. It just felt just a safe performance. Like, I thought it was good. And I still even think that with Robert Pattinson's performance, that it was good. But I hate to say it, but there's points where it does feel a little one note for both of them, that you almost want a little more dynamic acting here, just something different, and it just doesn't contribute to the whole boring feel of this film. But yes, I see that they wanted to be grounded in reality and really grounded, but I mean, it just became too much crime jargon at points, and I started zoning out, and I don't know. I just didn't think that it was the most engaging script. I think the script really hurt it, and it could have been way more interesting and had you sucked in, especially, again, for this long runtime. And I do think it was predictable. I don't think there was these big Riddler twists revealed. I mean, you could see that Riddler was an orphan as well. That was coming a mile away, and that was going to relate to Thomas Wayne. So it didn't really have that many shocking things. And then them alluding now to a new Joker. I hope they don't do a Joker for the sequel again. Like, enough with the Joker. There's so many good Batman villains. Do we really need him again? It's too much. Just please. I thought it was Two-Face at first. I thought that would be way cooler. And I'm still crossing fingers for Mr. Freeze to come back in a version like this because he's my favorite. But overall, I would give this film a 7.9. What I will say, I do think it's better than The Dark Knight Rises. I think it's nowhere near The Dark Knight. So people saying it's better than The Dark Knight have recency bias for sure. And I think Batman Begins is better too. So I think it's better than the Zack Snyder Batman projects and a lot of the older Batmans. But again, I think it's going to be ultimately something people don't really remember. I think it's forgettable. And I think there's a cool version of Gotham here. I think that I love the look of Gotham. I do like what they're doing with the Batman himself. But it's not as original as it thinks this film. There wasn't moments where I was just like, yeah, I've seen all this before. Like, there wasn't things that just stuck with me that felt fresh and different, that I'll keep with me. So I'm giving it a 7.9. That was pretty good. And I know I put a lot of criticism in this, but I wanted to play the things that just made me feel like it had the pieces here to be amazing. And these things that hurt it for me just brought it down to okay, So I'm giving it a 7.9. Let me know what you guys think. Did you like this Batman? Where would you rank in other Batman films? And share all your thoughts. I read every comment. I try to respond as many as I can. And please make sure to subscribe so don't miss one of my movie reviews. I also do celebrity interviews as well and TV reviews. And please follow me at Steve Varley Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for more of me. And I'll see you next time.